This problem will demonstrate hypothesis testing from Chapter 18, problem similar to number 12 on your homework. A company is developing a new high-performance wax for cross-country skiing racing. In order to justify the price marketing once, the wax needs to be very fast. The mean time to finish their standard test course should be less than 55 seconds for a former Olympic champion. The key word there should be less than. That means that our alternative hypothesis will have the less than symbol in it. To test it, the champion will ski the course 8 times, so the sample size is 8. The champion's times selected at random are 56.7, 61.3, 46.3, 52.2, 46.2, 49.4, 53.4, and 41.5 seconds to complete the test course. And the question is, should they market the wax? We're going to assume the assumptions and conditions for appropriate hypothesis testing are met, and we're going to assume that the significance level alpha is 0.05. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to choose the correct null and alternative hypothesis below. And so because up here in the reading it said should be less than 55 seconds, I need to look for an alternative hypothesis that is less than 55. So letter A is less than 55 would be my alternative hypothesis, and so I need to make sure that this right here, my null hypothesis, is that the population mean equals 55 seconds, and the alternative hypothesis is that the population mean is less than 55 seconds. So then the next thing that I'm going to do is calculate the test stat. And you see I have the test stat in here already, and what I'm going to do is show you how I calculated it. We could do this by hand, we could use a graphing calculator, but I think that for this particular problem the easiest way to do this is to use StatCrunch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this data and I need to find the sample mean and the sample standard deviation. So I'm going to click on this little icon right here, and it should, if you click on open in StatCrunch, it should take the data and put it into StatCrunch. And so what I need to do is, if I want to calculate the mean and the standard deviation, if I just go to summary stats and I go to columns and I pick my column was labeled up here variable 1, so I'm going to click on that and it pastes it over here, and if I hit compute, then what I have here is I have my mean is 50.875, my sample size is 8, my standard deviation is 6.36, and there's lots of other information here, but I don't need it for this problem. So the three things actually that I need for this problem is my n is 8, my mean is 50.875, and my standard deviation is 6.365. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to stat, and I'm going to go to tstat, and I'm going to go to one sample, and I'm actually finding my p-value, and since I have it with summary, I'm going to click on with summary, and in my sample mean I'm going to type in 50.875, and my sample standard deviation I'm going to type in 6.365, and I just rounded those values, and my sample size was 8. Now, my hypothesis test, my population mean was 55 seconds, and my alternative hypothesis was less than, so I'm going to change that to less than. And I'm not doing the confidence interval, so I can ignore this right here, and I'm going to hit compute. Notice that this right here gives me now my test stat, and it also gives me my p-value. So my test stat is negative 1.833. So if I go back to my problem, that's where I typed in, it said to round to 3 decimal places as needed. My test stat is negative 1.833. Then my p-value was the 0.0547. So if we go back to StatCrunch, you can see where I got that value right here of the 0.0547. So then the next thing that it has is we want to choose the correct conclusion value. So because my p-value is 0.0547 and my significance level is 0.05, since my p-value is greater than my significance level, I am not going to reject the null hypothesis. So I'm going to basically accept the null hypothesis. And so if I accept the null hypothesis, I'm accepting that it is equal to 55 seconds. And so since I want it to be less than 55 seconds, I am not going to market the wax because there's not evidence to conclude that the mean time is less than 55 seconds.